Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us today for our webinar on reimagining, I should say, the first year student experience. We're excited to have you with us. Just a couple of quick reminders as we get started. So this meeting is being recorded, and we'll share the recording with you following today's webinar. Look for an email from us tomorrow with that recording that you can then certainly share with your colleagues. Or if you want to review anything that either Connor or I share, you'll be able to do that as well. We do have Q&A functionality in Zoom today, so if you have questions for either Connor or myself, feel free to put those in the Q&A section of the platform. And we also have chat enabled today. So if you would like to share ideas with others that are participating in today's webinar, things that you've seen to be successful at your institution, I certainly encourage you to use the chat for that. And if you'd like, feel free to introduce yourself in the chat as well and mention what institution you're from and maybe how warm it is where you are today. It's certainly a little bit warm here where I am in Pennsylvania today. With that, let me ask Connor to join me on screen. Connor, if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself, and then I'll do the same.
Hi, everyone. My name is Connor Arrowood. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm the MU Engage coordinator here at the University of Missouri. I have overseen MU Engage for over 3 years now, and I'm really looking forward to sharing with you guys our Get Involved checklist. That has been a really great tool for us in getting first years involved here at the University of Missouri.
Awesome. Thanks, Connor. And just for clarification, MU Engage is the name of their campus groups platform. There's that. And then I'm Dr. Mirko Wiedenhorn, and I'm with Ready Education. As you can probably see, I use he, him pronouns. And I do a lot of our thought leadership work here and also work in the marketing part of the organization. So again, thrilled to have you joining us today. And with that, let me just start by telling you just briefly about who we are at Ready Education. We are focused on providing the platform students use every day to be successful. And our solutions are very student-centric, and they're often used by 90% of all students. And so it's not only a strategic solution for our academic partners, but really transformative as well. And to give you just a little bit more context around that, the way we help students use the platform every day is through a variety of ways. So one of those elements is allowing you to better target your communications so that you're providing relevant and timely communications to students, helping you grow engagement. You'll hear how Connor and the University of Missouri are doing that with the first year checklist that Connor just alluded to, but also in other ways, allowing them to easily see clubs and events that are available to them in their hand on their phone, making it easier for them to register and participate. We're also focused on increasing efficiency for your team as well as for students. So we have built-in workflows that allow you to streamline a lot of the functionality that you may be still doing in a little bit more convoluted process. And then lastly, we really focus on giving you ways to proactively support students, whether that's identifying those students who may not be engaging or may not be meeting with advisors, have not booked meetings or checked in at various places on campus, so that you can then proactively connect with them to check in on them and also just to try to get them to engage. We all know through the literature, and I think through your own experience, that the more that students are engaged on campus, whether it's joining a club, attending events, the more likely they are to not only retain, but also be successful and have a better overall student experience. So that's a little bit about who we are at Ready Education. I now want to spend a bit of time talking about the first year student journey before I turn it over to Connor to dive in a little bit more deeply into what they're doing at Mizzou. And so just put together a few high-level slides here. From our perspective, there are key aspects of that first year experience. I assume many of you might be nodding along as you're looking at the content on this slide. So certainly there is the enrollment process, uh, and then from there it's the time before and when they arrive on campus. encouraging engagement and fostering a sense of community. Certainly, that's a key element of as they're on campus. And then also supporting their academic experience. Are there ways that we all can help as practitioners to ensure that the students not only have a positive student experience, but also a positive academic experience? And by the way, I did notice the comment about the chat being disabled. Our apologies. It is now enabled. So if you'd like to introduce yourself now, feel free. Um, all right, let's start by diving into the enrollment process. And here for me, this is really all about making this as simple as possible for incoming students. And obviously, we need them to take the actions that they need to take. So you're getting the information that you need prior to them arriving at the institution. But really think through each step of that process. How can you personalize that step further than perhaps it is today? We know from our research that the more personalized a request is or an ask is, the more likely students are to complete it. And then I'd also encourage you to take a step back and look at every step in that enrollment process to see, are all of these steps necessary? Can anything be combined that is currently happening separately? And then think about the student experience with that. The fewer steps, the more likely students are to complete the task that you're asking them to undertake. And then again, that all of that together leads to a better experience for students. And one of the things I like to talk about is really thinking about the technology that you're using and what that technology is allowing or should allow you to do in terms of reducing the number of steps. I think at this point, all enrollment processes are hopefully fully digital, but are you asking students to log into multiple systems to take some of those actions? Are they filling out forms and submitting forms in some way rather than interacting in an online environment for those things? So again, think through each step and think about how technology can really assist you in continuing to enhance the enrollment process. Now, as we look at the time before they arrive and their arrival on campus, again, this is a key element. Students have now enrolled. They're excited to start at your institution. So we have that excitement already inherently built in, hopefully, at least for most of the students. So it's how do you continue to build on that excitement? And certainly that happens in your communications to students. So think about the tone and the voice that you're using in communications over the summer months. Think about who those communications are coming from. Are they coming from student leaders or are they coming from administrators? And is there a way to use some different voices in the mix to really get students to already understand what your culture is like and what the student experience will be like as they step foot on campus? Look at creating that virtual onboarding experience for them so they can already glean more, find out more about campus life during the summer as they're preparing to ramp up. And yes, the packing checklist and those elements are important, but how can you already connect them with potentially other first-year students and orientation leaders and anyone else who it makes sense to connect them to at that stage? It's also a good time to share information about services that are available once they are on campus, because in some ways, you have a more captive audience before they step foot on campus. And then along those same lines, think about creating a landing page that's specifically for incoming students if you haven't already done that. And use that as well as an opportunity to highlight how they can get involved and to meet their peers, either when they arrive on campus or ideally even give them opportunities to join clubs while they're still gearing up for moving to campus. Here's one example that I wanted to share with you. This comes to us from the American University in Cairo. And the AUC, American University in Cairo, does a really good job of introducing the platform, their student engagement platform, which is campus groups, to students before and throughout their welcome week. So they already allow students to sign up for events that are happening early in the semester before they even attend Welcome Week. They have checklists built out in the platform to encourage students to complete those necessary tasks or actions that are needed before arriving on campus. Some of those are also in the form of videos, as well as forms, and then some appointment setting as well, right in the platform that students are already using and getting accustomed to using, and the platform they'll use to engage as students moving forward. And then again, they're highlighting that event app. Already providing students with some gamification even during the welcome week process in the using badges and some other leaderboard type elements to encourage students to use the app right away. And again, that app then becomes their resource throughout their time at the institution. So orientation is a key time that you can use to really promote the technology you want students to use throughout their time as a student at your institution. One more example that I wanted to share along these same lines is from Denison University. And they are focused on a virtual bulletin board as their landing page in their campus groups platform, both on the web and in the app version, using our unified platform. And you can see it grabs your attention. They focus on a lot of different opportunities, and they also switch out this homepage on a regular basis, meaning the header image is changed up. Some of the calls to action move around depending on the time of year that it is. And so every time or often when a student comes to look at the homepage or the landing page for their student engagement platform, they see something different. And I think that's a key element to keep in mind. The more you refresh content, the more likely students are to come back to it. You don't want to change the entire look and feel. You want to keep colors and brand and all of those elements consistent so it doesn't look completely different to a student, but definitely it's an opportunity to highlight critical things that you want students to know. So just using the Denison example, later on in the semester, as we get closer to October and midterms, there's more information about counseling and academic resources, support resources that are available to students. Again, as that might be top of mind for students then. So they really use it as another way to highlight critical information to students. It also includes their event calendar, all of the clubs and organizations that are available on campus, so that it makes it easy for students to immediately join a club or register for an event while they're also seeing this other relevant information that they need to be able to be successful. One other element that I want to talk about a little bit, and I sort of touched on it already, is the opportunities to encourage engagement and foster community. I think we all know that the more students feel like they're part of a community, that builds their sense of belonging, which positively has been shown to impact their likelihood of retention. So these are key elements, and I just have some statistics on the slide from a survey that we conducted last year around the start of classes. And students that just said that they were not as connected are less likely to continue their studies when we compared them. So we compared students who said they were less likely to continue their studies to those who were more likely to continue their studies. And the ones less likely to continue had significant differences in having a circle of friends, in indicating that there were enough ways to get involved. And 14% fewer of them indicated that they knew where to go for information at the institution. So these are key elements that all tie to community and sense of belonging. But this is these are important differences. So the more that you can ensure that students are connecting to other students, to their peers, and continue to promote the resources and information available at the institution, the more likely they are to continue their studies. And we've talked about the importance of technology as part of that already, but it's also about empowering student leaders to be able to provide club and organization management tools easily for them that they can use. And then we've talked about gamification and some of that face-to-face collaboration already. Uh, and then I did just want to share one more example here around that sense of community and sharing key information. And this is from Bowdoin College up in Maine. And they use the community feed in the campus groups platform pretty actively to share information with their student population. They have over 50% of students checking the platform at least weekly, which is a really strong percentage when you think about it. And again, so this has become a key communication tool for them. And you can see they're sharing elements around hiring and student activities, sharing upcoming events on a weekly basis. And then one other example is the orientation internship that they advertised or earlier this summer, or even I think in May, right before classes ended. So think about ways that you can use a community feed like this to share information with both incoming students, but then all of your students as well. Having said that, also consider what information is important for first year students versus other students, and make sure that you target those students with some of this content in the feed that you're seeing here as well. First year students probably don't need to get reminders about practicing for job interviews in the first half of their first year experience. That might be very relevant for juniors or even seniors. But think about who should see what type of information, and the more relevant content you can provide, again, the more likely students are to engage with the platform and pay attention. Last thing I want to point out about the Bowdoin example is I love their use of colors. So clearly they are using colors and graphics to get attention. So that's something else that I would encourage you to consider if you're not already doing that in some of what you're posting or promoting on your online tools. Again, it will set it apart a little bit from questions that students have and are posing to each other, and it gets more of the attention. One last element that I wanted to share here, I had talked about academic experience earlier as a key element, and just a couple of stats that I want to bring up here. And these are, to me, pretty powerful as well as just things to be aware of. So we had conducted a survey of over 1,000 US higher education students last fall. I alluded to this briefly earlier, but of those students, 55% said that they feel overwhelmed by the number of things to keep track of at their institution. And then take a look at the stat below that. 3 out of 4 students reported missing deadlines on assignments or forgetting about an exam at least once or twice a semester. 45% of students said they missed assignments or forgot about exams on a monthly basis. When we think about their academic success, those are key elements that are impacting their ability to be successful in the classroom. So what can you do about that? Some of it is certainly sharing resources that are available at the institution. I think we all know there are so many different offices available to students and support resources available. And a lot of students don't realize those resources are available to them because they may not need them when they're advertised at the beginning of their first year. But maybe later on in the first year, they do need them and have forgotten they exist. So again, think about bringing some of those resources and support services back in your messaging so that they also hit at a timely point for students. And then do look at continuous survey data that you may be gathering or may be gathering through your institutional research office on student satisfaction. A recommendation that we always have or we give is to do a survey post events so that you can get immediate feedback on how that event was perceived, and that can help inform future decisions on programming. And then really looking at how you're helping support skill development, not only in the classroom, but also outside of the classroom, and with elements like a co-curricular transcript, which for first year students may not be as relevant, but when you think about your seniors who are looking to graduate, they probably forgot all of the things they did in their first year. So having a co-curricular transcript in place, like in the Campus Groups platform, can really allow students to track their engagement and what they've done throughout their 4 years. So when they're ready to write their resume or interview for that job after graduation, they have all of that information that they can look back on and really pull out the key elements. So that was just a quick look at the first year experience and some opportunities there. I now want to turn it over to the star of the show today. So Connor, I'll turn it over to you to talk more about how Mizzou has really impacted that first year experience.
Thanks so much, Mirko. Hello, everyone. Again, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm really excited to share what we have done here at the University of Missouri. To give you guys a little bit of context, we have been with Ready Education for 3 years. So in the inception of MU Engage, that's what we are called, our version of it here on campus. We started as this was just for student organizations. And now fast forward to right now in 2025, we are now running academic programs on this. Our law school is now transitioned all of their 1L, 2Ls, and 3Ls over onto here. We're also running our business school programs on here. So we have massively grown the site. And what the why behind this checklist is really through a lot of different things. So obviously we know post-pandemic that really affected our numbers when we come to programming, especially for us. We wanted to make sure that we were targeting those first year students because the wants of the students we had realized had changed. At one point, what programming that they wanted to be involved with, how they wanted to be involved holistically, that has shifted. And, in previous years, involvement at Mizzou has always been very, very big. 46% of students, though, still expressed that they wanted to be more involved. So we knew we wanted to foster engagement, and we knew we wanted to track co-curricular experiences through MU Engage. And we wanted to make sure that we were staying within our goals, right? So our strategies, sense of belonging, engagement, all of this kind of tied together. So that's kind of where it all kind of came from. We had a lot of data to support this initiative. We've been seeing participation rates slowly recovering since COVID. So we're seeing those changes, and we knew that the why was our students, right? That's why all of our whys is that because we wanted to connect with our students. But we wanted to figure out how can we build something for them that will take them step through step. So we wanted to build a step-by-step guide for the students. Okay, we wanted to get them involved on campus. We wanted to stay in line with our institutional values. We want to stay in line with our initiatives. On top of this, we had just recently rolled out our new learning framework for the division. So here at Mizzou, we recently launched new divisional goals with Tigers. And we wanted to make sure that we were fleshing out our programming to align with what our new divisional goals were, as well as this checklist. So I think as you hear me talk, you'll hear a lot of different things. The why behind this checklist, yes, obviously is to help students to get involved because we want them to feel belonging and feel like they belong in this space here at the University of Missouri. We also want to make sure that we're aligning with our divisional goals. We also want to raise our retention and our participation numbers, attendance tracking. So all of these things kind of working simultaneously together. Our next slide will show us the Tigers framework itself. So this is honestly the meat and potatoes of the checklist. Okay. So Tigers, thoughtful, inclusive, giving, empowered. For we want thoughtful leaders, students that are reflective, they're intellectually curious. They take what they learn, they apply it in meaningful ways. We want to make sure that we're being inclusive with our Tigers. So whether that's in Missouri or anywhere around the world, we want our students to be strong collaborators. We want to equip them with skills to seek out complex issues and work across differences to build communities and sense of belonging as well. It takes us to giving. So we want our students to be engaged in the community. We want them to share their time and their talents. We want them to track service, philanthropy, all of these things. We want to make sure that we're doing well-rounded Tigers that are giving. Then we move into empowered. Obviously, we want our students to lead with confidence. We want them to take responsibilities for their action and kind of really have an impact of what they're doing. And then finally is our self-aware. So this is becoming the best version of yourself and branching out. Requires a sense of self-awareness. So with this in mind, we went ahead and led with every single item, the checklist itself, for those who are my engaged people, how it works realistically is the learning framework you see there is our track. And then the Tigers below it, TIGERS, are our checklist. And within those checklists, we wanted to create experiences that tie directly to these frameworks. So just to show, Mirko mentioned this earlier about how you want to equip your students with ready education, whatever your platform is, MU Engage, before they even step foot on campus. We do a lot of this with our summer welcome and our welcome week. Everything is on Engage, everything is tracked via Engage. When students are coming to do their summer orientations, we're directing them to MU Engage to already start navigating and creating their profiles and customizing them. That's from a student perspective of how we're really pushing students to do the groundwork beforehand. From a staff perspective, all of the events and programming that we do has to be tied to a program overview. So what this is your program details, what are the objectives of it, and then how does your program tie into the Tigers framework? What specifically do you think the learning outcomes out of this that connect with our Tigers? And this is for every single event that we do in our student affairs. So we're being very, very intentional about the program that we're doing. Thus, when we build this checklist, we're able to look at these program overviews and see, okay, these are the events and the programmings that we have going on that really push inclusivity or really push self-awareness. So just by doing this as staff and faculty, it helps us a lot as we build it. Another thing that we do along with program overviews, if you can go to the next slide, is our residential curriculum. Okay, so as professional staff, this is all weaved within it, all of it. So along with that as well, so this is just involving on campus. And then as we go to the next slide, you'll see that for our involvement ambassadors for the Tigers checklist, we're making sure that when they do consultations with our students who are wanting to maybe get involved here on campus but aren't really sure where to start, they lead with the Tigers framework, okay? So they're using these formats as they're sitting down and talking with our students. These are our students that are doing this with our other students. So we really are proud of the work and the leaders that we're building, and the way that we have been able to integrate Tigers with all different aspects of our division. Is the same thing that we've done with the platform itself, MU Engage. We have taken this platform and really woven it into every corner of campus, whether you're talking academics, athletics, any of the above, undergrad research. We have really made MU Engage the hub for the place. So because of this, all of these, different things are working together has made and what we've seen a lot of success for this checklist. We can go to the next slide. So the how. Okay, so the Get Involved checklist is what we were going to do to track all of this. Obviously, we love a checklist that we can track it all and MU Engage. Now, when we look at how we're going to track it, we only wanted to do as divisional. Okay, so this is our pilot year. I'm gonna give you a little bit of a timeline on it. This idea was born in May. We got the okay in June, and it needed to be live August 1. So it was a mad dash to try to get everything in order, because we also wanted to do intentional marketing prior, so that these new students that were coming on campus were aware of this holistic kind of checklist that was built for them. Again, everything on the checklist directly ties to the Tigers framework. So then we move on to kind of laying the groundwork. So what the checklist is itself. Okay, if we can go to the next slide. We send out a nomination form. So this was housed in MU Engage. We sent a form out to everyone, and it was very robust, asking them to submit nominations for programming that they feel, a call for programming to be applicable for the Get Involved checklist, that they think these programmings really spoke to the Tigers framework and felt like they needed to have a home on there. So because we had the form, we had the mobility of tracking to see, what would be manual uploads for events. Is this a one-time event? Is this offered multiple times throughout the year? Is this experience stackable? Do they have to go to other events? Where do you think you see this program and landing within Tigers? So it's a very robust and intentional form. I'm sure our people that filled it out probably didn't appreciate us asking for all of the learning outcomes. But again, I just want to emphasize that this was a very intentionally built together checklist, not just something to assign to them, and something that they would be able to intentionally look at and feel like they're taking something from that. So again, we wanted to make it reasonable, wanted to make it at least scalable. So we started with just student affairs. We had student health and well-being. We had the counseling center, Mizzou Rec, sustainability office. And basically what I did, and I also had my friend from assessment, Jesse Johns. What we did was go to all of these functional areas. So the ones I just listed, housing, sustainability office, Mizzou Rec, and we do a roadshow basically. So we go with them and we're giving them the tools. We're sitting down, we're having an hour or 2 hour meeting to tell them what this Get Involved checklist is. We've reviewed their submissions, how we think that this is going to fit in, and then get them all on the right plan of how we're going to track this. Okay. If this is a periodic thing, we're going to set up some upload times. Give them the training for tracking attendance using all of the different features. What's most successful for them? Is tapping into events or scanning QR codes most effective for them? So really just going and meeting everyone in the division where you're at. I know we constantly say this with students, but we're doing the same thing when we're doing these roadshows. On top of that, we did 2 workshops. So these were 2 to 3 hour long workshops that we had booked, kind of like a lunch and learn kind of vibe. And we had everyone come in and it was basically a one-on-one engaged training. We went through assessment. We had Jesse get up there and talk about learning outcomes, how this can apply to their KPIs, how feeding all of this into whether it's an assessed or unassessed. We had a marketing specialist there talking about how they would market their events, best languages to use when talking to students, and best marketing tactics. And then I kind of had my own section where I jumped in and I gave the one-on-one, this is the best way to use Engage, give them the best tools and tricks. So definitely an effort of all of us together. But that road shows and those workshops really, really, really helped out. I think another great thing is what we do here at Mizzou, whenever there's a new group, whether it is a student organization, whether that is a new office on campus, they do an Engage one-on-one meeting with me. So they will get MU Engage training on how to do the campus groups platform, how to navigate it better. And I do this not only from a perspective, while there are training videos and lots of different information out there, the Help Center, we have so much help with Ready Education and their online support team. But I think a lot of times people can struggle to connect with that if they're looking at something that is different branding, totally different branding, which again, Mizzou is that. So because of that, I have created personalized training videos for all of the somewhat frequent questions that you get asked. So, I mean, I have dozens of them, but it's how to create an event, how to manage an event, how to update your officers, how to do member management. So taking the time to provide these resources, creating documents that live on our website. So MU Engage has its own landing page within the Student Affairs website. On that, we have documents that we've created that give step-by-step instructions for how to track attendance through all of the different modes and modalities that they offer. Just because a tricky time of, where do I need to go get a tapper? I don't have a tapper. Okay, we've created a document that tells them they need to go to the ID office. It's located here, and this is what they do. So I think the very important thing to do when you're thinking about this is we did a lot of work laying the groundwork. Same thing as with the marketing communications. It was pedal to the metal of how we are going to get this built and then communicate with incoming students that this is at their disposal and help them find it because they don't have MU Engage experience. The only experience they have is me when I'm in these summer welcome and welcome weeks situations and I'm telling them about the capabilities of it. So lots of different groundwork being laid just for this checklist. And then from there, after all the groundwork, of course, we can go to the next slide. We kept a few things in mind when we were reviewing nominations. I think the biggest thing, I forgot about this slide truthfully, but now I'm here with you. A few things to keep in mind when we were reviewing some of the nominations. Mind you, we got over 80. So we didn't have 80 spots on the checklist. We knew we wanted to do a required and we want to do an optional item for each of the letters. So we wanted to make sure that it didn't feel like it was, we're making them do it. The biggest thing that we kept in mind was accessibility. So when you are thinking about how many times is the event offered, Where's this event located at? Is this just an athletic event? Is this out of the normal 8 to 5 working hours for students that have families or have jobs? How would they be able to join if it's on a weekend? Um, so there's just a lot of things to keep in mind. We wanted to make sure that we were giving opportunities to students that weren't just a one and done type of thing. So we wanted to make sure that they had the ability and had the time to go to the events. But then at the same time, we didn't want repetitive events. So there was one event that's coffee time at one of the centers, and that's every single day. So those events don't really have the strongest connection to the Tigers framework besides this sense of belonging and inclusivity and building community. But we wanted to be a little bit more intentional about that. And then optional and required, again, we didn't want to feel like we were forcing them to do it because we wanted them to want to do it. That's why we included a lot of these fun experiences on there that we feel like really spoke to what it is to be a tiger. But we wanted to give them both optional and required so they didn't feel like they were forced to do it. And then we came up with our beautiful finished product. So there was 22 different experiences on the checklist itself. So again, as I kind of explained earlier, think of it as an umbrella. So the track itself was the get involved checklist, and then under it was 6 different checklists, each for each letter of tigers. We assign this to all of our first years. So this is not just freshmen. This is transfers as well. Anyone who's first year at Mizzou. On top of that, this also was an aid of our non-joiner campaign. So what we do is identify all of the students that have not been engaged in the first 6 months of being on campus here at Mizzou. So we want to make sure that we're reaching out to them, letting them know that the resources are there for them. So what we've done is did a hidden admin tag on the back end, and we were able to tag users with a non-joiner tag, and then duplicate this checklist and assign it to them as well. So while the checklist is truly made for our first year students, we also saw the capability there to duplicate it and have it for our non-joiners as well, using the event tags. So there was 8,258 students. Those are our first year students that they were assigned to it. There was lots of different experiences on it. One of them, get involved with a welcome week event. All of these pictures that you see on here are from events that were incorporated to the checklist. So getting involved with an international welcome party. We did Celebrating Disability Culture Month. So checking into any of the events during the Disability Culture Month when it was held, staying active on campus. Our resource centers, not our Mizzou Rec, but our resource centers track their daily swipes, check-ins to their centers through MU Engage. By doing this, we set the completion to be at least 3 times. If someone engages with a resource center at least 3 times of any of them, then they would complete that completion. So lots of intuitive ways of how we're using it. For the manual aspect of it, we had, for example, like I just said, Mizzou Rec, they do not track their daily swipes in and out. They use a platform called Fusion. And because of that, they're able to pull quick reports out. So what we do is just create dummy events and dump those students into it and set the completion rule for that specific event that we hide from the events page. So that's just an example of kind of how we manipulated the platform to make it work for us. It was a lot of, again, like I said earlier, a lot of meeting them where we were at or meeting them where they were at. Going to them and trying to find ways that we could get their experience on the platform, regardless of whether it was housed in MU Engage. And if it wasn't, what does the options look like for getting it over there? Data, our lovely data. So we had a lot of great learning things, a lot of growth as we looked at the data of this. One of my favorite things, again, like I talked about, we had 8,258 students that this was assigned to, which a lot of time our men are not engaged. We know this, and especially here at the University of Missouri, but we were pleased to say that we had 91% of self-identified males did share that they completed at least one item on the checklist. So that was exciting. Same thing for women. 97%. There were 21% of this, 21% of the population of students that was assigned this were actually first generation students. And 92% of them completed at least one item on the checklist as well, was engaged with at least one item. So lots of good stats, especially for us when we look at an assessment standpoint. This is all figuring out who is getting missed, who are we missing, how can we connect with them. Our most completed checklist item was our Get Involved for Welcome Week. The University of Missouri, not to toot our own horn, we really set the stage for Welcome Week. We are running in, on average this year, this will be our biggest class to date. So we'll have over 6,000 students that we are just moving and grooving through all of the events. And we are using MU Engage to track all of that, all of the check-ins. So by far the most successful programming on campus is Welcome Week, and they do the best job of tracking. So there was no surprise when we saw that. We did get connected with an academic event on campus. If we're wondering how we set that up, we use the academic event tag. For the Welcome Week, that's an event tag as well. So when we were setting up the completions for the checklist, we were just setting them based on event tags. You can go over, and then we broke down each of them thoughtful, every single letter of it. We broke it down to look at completion, who's engaged with what. We were really pleased with the Earth Month. Earth Month, this is our first year that we really kind of fully launched that on campus. And we had a great participation rate with that. So lots of very helpful data has come from this passion project. Lastly, I kind of want to talk about, again, these are all experiences that were on the Get Involved checklist. I love our students and they're on all the fun activities that they do, but I do want to talk about kind of to wrap up with some of the opportunities and challenges and then kind of anticipation for the future, because transparently, we have closed our first year. Obviously, our pilot year is over. And we are going live with our second version on Friday, which is very exciting. We've built that already. So our second version of it, and I can kind of quickly tell you about how we connected that as well. So we wanted to make sure that we were having people be compliant with data upload. For the data that was not being tracked in MU Engage, shared living agreements that housing was having, like I said, Mizzou Rec. The counseling center has a private site that they have to use for their counseling things. So they have to send us that data. We just need people to be more consistent on how we are getting that information in so that we're uploading it, because we want to make sure that our students are having the most up-to-date data. For daily swipes, we recognize that not everyone, we can't upload that every single day. But a monthly update. So what we've done is make sure that we establish data timelines for every single partner stakeholder that has a place on this checklist. We want it to be more frequently. We want to make sure, so the next step is to how we can scale it outside of the first year. So can we scale this to a sophomore year experience, a junior year experience, a senior year experience? Does it have to just be a first year? The other thing that we had thought about was ADC, so alternative digital credentialing. We would love to turn this Get Involved checklist into an alternative digital credential so students can share that. And that is, I also serve on the ADC task force. So we're getting them all in conjunction together. I think we're going to be able to do that one as well. I think some of the challenges that we had was just a participation or feeling like we didn't bucket enough events. So again, accessibility, there were a couple events that they were one-time events, but we had grouped with other ones. Looking back on it, we knew that that wasn't going to be accessible for students in their schedules. So as we looked into this next year and we moved into our next step, what we've done is a lot of bucketing. So for our optional, rather than just do, go to anything with this tag or this tag, we've actually created a separate checklist for all of these different events that we have. We set the completion rule for completes at least one item on the other checklist, and the other checklist has just a robust amount of events that we've all identified that connect directly with inclusivity, thoughtfulness, so on. So intuitive ways that we're using the site in the second year. We're actually having completion rules that are checklists to other checklist items. Um, we wanted to make sure completion rules, just a broader range. We also thought about building in a reflection to this. What does a reflection look like? Is that something that we want to gauge student learning? We haven't, students also can get survey fatigue, as I will say, or email fatigue. So we do send them a lot of stuff. So that's something we're still exploring. But the biggest thing is really just staff capacity, building that capacity and familiarity with the site. By having your staff be familiar with the program and kind of how you go through it, it literally has made this process so much easier, smoother. So as we have wrapped our first year and now we go live with our new one in 2 days, I'm very thrilled. I'm very excited for this next iteration of it. And we've had so much buy-in from students. So it's honestly just been a great blessing to have at the university and to see these students really connect with it. The biggest thing I would say is as someone who's running the site and going out and talking to stakeholders, is again, just where we meet the students where they are, meet your programs and departments at your institution the same way. Change, no one likes to do it. But the platform and the capabilities of MU Engage and Ready Education far outweigh the old systems that we had been using at MU. And because of that, we have just been able to streamline this process to be very, very effective, very familiar for our students. And again, finding ways to weave your platform into every corner of campus will make buy-in and retention, all of these things will go up. And we've seen that here at the University of Missouri.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Connor. Just a couple of questions that we'd encourage you to consider. And while we're going over these, I'd encourage you to pose questions to Connor in the Q&A, and we'll take those in a minute as Connor takes a drink of water. I've seen some already come in throughout the presentation, Connor, so awesome job. It was great to hear how you're using the first year checklist in campus groups to really drive that engagement. But so as we look at some of the questions for you to perhaps consider, what are some of those main challenges during the first year at your institution, both for students and then for the institution? Um, are there communication best practices that you can apply that will make the transition easier for students? Connor just alluded to trying to break through the noise when it comes to communications, right? So they are not over communicating with students so that they don't respond to anything. So again, really think about how you can make communications relevant and timely. Uh, Identify those crucial moments in the first year student journey that maybe you haven't paid as much attention to as you could. Uh, that can be any number of different things. It could be right from orientation. It could be the start of the second semester. Again, think about what makes sense for your population. Look at the measures that you have implemented to really make the most of some of those key moments and highlight those. The checklist, I think, is a great example of identifying key aspects of the student experience that we want to reward students for participating in. What would some of those be at your institution? And then really look at how technology can make your life easier. I think you heard Connor share certainly how they're doing all of this in the campus groups platform. I can't imagine if this was being done on paper or in a spreadsheet of some type. So think about how you can use technology to make your job easier and again, improve that student experience. All right. Now, again, I invite you to add any additional questions you have for Connor or on anything that I've covered in the session. But I have a couple that have come in, Connor. So the first one is from someone who's at a community college and more asking about how might you recommend approaching something like that at an institution that has fewer resources. So they're not the scale of Mizzou with, what did you say, 16? No, 7,000 incoming students, something like
It's a
that.
little over 6,000 students this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Scalability. How does this work for your campus? So I think how you think about it. So when you do when your students are coming in for your first, even if you're doing online, you're still doing those orientation things. Being super intentional about who is talking about those resources. So I have loved to make an effort. I know a lot of people are pulled sparsely in a lot of different ways. But even creating a video of you training video that you're able to share out to students prior to them coming to campus or joining campus virtually. We know a lot of students are not actually coming to campus. Um, just being an advocate to be able to walk them through the platform before they're even there. So I cannot express to you enough, the training videos have truly changed the platform and how people are able to do it because we've customized it to Mizzou. We've also created an MU Engage request form. If someone wants to request a demo just to get more information, there's a form that we have that lives at all time on our website that we keep in our email signature that's like questions, want to chat, and they can fill it out and let us know, and then we schedule a meeting with them. So again, I know when you don't have as many resources, and you're on these institutions when you're wearing a lot of different hats. You are not just your coordinator for campus groups. Doing as much preliminary work to give those resources to them will, I think, hopefully help you. And I have to say how much I appreciate all of my community college warriors. You guys are doing a lot of work and have just great students. And listening, when I was in Ready Inspire, I got to join that in July. It was so awesome to be able to connect with a lot of you while I was there as well.
Awesome. Thanks, Connor. I think another element you hit on during your presentation that I would add is sort of find champions across your institution. I think what Connor shared is the more that she's talking to other areas of campus, I think what we often find with the schools we partner with is other parts of campus then want to use aspects of the campus groups platform. And that's extremely helpful for you if you are a small shop, because then another office will use the same platform to do things, and then all of the data is being captured still in one platform. So it makes it easier to get the word out. Again, you're putting more information in front of students in the app or the platform that they're using regularly for other things. And so that inherently makes it more valuable. Connor, I like your idea of those trainings for people on campus who want to learn more, because then you do make champions or ambassadors for the platform by doing that. All right, shifting a little bit. Just what you focused on was a key part of the first year experience, but really that checklist element. Could you just very briefly talk about how else Mizzou is using the campus groups MU Engage platform? Like, are all of the clubs on it, all of the orgs on it? Just give a little bit more context on that if you don't mind, based on a question we received.
Absolutely. So here at Mizzou, which that is new branding, by the way, we are Mizzou. You can call us that. We have engaged in every corner of life. Okay. So for all of our recognized student organizations, that re-registration process is through MU Engage. Fraternity and sorority life, which is 30% of our population. We are very proud of our wonderful fraternity and sorority life family that we have here, our community at Mizzou. That is a large population of students. They're doing all of their roster management on there. Their event registrations for chapters. So when these students have to go to chapters every single week, their social events, all of those events are put on MU Engage for tracking purposes. That helps our FSL staff as well. All of our programs here, Sustain Mizzou, our Green Tiger program, our government, they run all of their forms, processes, workflows through MU Engage. Switching over to an academic side, we utilize points for our True Lost Edge program, which is our business program. So by going to events, checking into events, scanning those QR codes, and then submitting a form that is all through MU Engage that automatically rewards them points based on approval from the Edge team once they go in and review those submissions. So again, to walk you through that, they go to an event, scan a QR code from MU Engage, listen to the product, listen to the actual event. Then they scan another QR code that links them to their form survey, all within MU Engage. All of those QR codes are generated in MU Engage as well. They submit the form. And then once the Edge team go in and approve it, it automatically awards them points. Those points are then tracked on a checklist. So on that checklist, this student is able to track that, oh, I've earned 10 points from going to this event on this date. Okay, awesome. I need to get 200 points. At this time, I have 70. This is all within the checklist features within MU Engage. So I think the biggest thing to tell you is we do not utilize just certain features of MU Engage. We really bridge them all together. They all weave in. So points, then we go over to our academics. So we move over, academics, Mizzou Law. based on event completion, survey submissions, and then those outside experiences that then the professors who then log into MU Engage and review that, review their submissions, then click approve. We have literally had all of our professors in it. It is not just students and then some of our staff. We really have folded it into everything. Club sports is their re-registration on this. So lots of things. And I could go on for this forever about how we've weaved it in, but it is every corner of campus here at the University of Missouri.
Awesome, Connor. Let me stick with points for a second. So you mentioned getting a certain number of points. Are you using any types of incentives or badges or anything like that to encourage students to complete things?
Yeah. So we right now for our points, realistically, we have that exclusively for our Edge program. We are working with ADCs right now. That has been an ongoing process here. So once we've officially established that, we will be using the badging feature to establish ADCs. We had to make sure that we're getting up to badging standards here at the university, but that's an ongoing thing as well. So something else that we've done to kind of incentivize this gamification kind of thing, once these students have completed it, they have an option to submit, hey, here's my co-curricular transcript. Or hey, I completed the Get Involved checklist. And now they will be getting a medallion, something that they can take with them when they graduate. So that's something that we're really, really excited about that we finished this year. So we had no one finish all of the Get Involved checklist, but we are very hopeful that we will have someone complete the entirety of it the second iteration and receive their Get Involved medallion from our office.
Awesome. And it sounds like you made some adjustments based on first year to make it maybe a little bit easier to complete the checklist by incorporating more events and activities rather than some of those very specific one-time ones. Awesome. I'm just looking to see if I see any other questions. Just taking a quick look. I don't see anything else. So I'll give people one last chance to drop a question in the chat. And while we're doing that, just to highlight our upcoming webinar, which is around a holistic approach to managing events and student engagement. Join us on August 20th. You have the QR code there to register. And I think that's it, Connor, in terms of questions. Thank you so much for all of the great information you shared. Thank you to all of you who spent an hour with us today. Very much appreciate it. And have a great rest of your day and see you soon. Take care, everybody.
Thank you all.